So on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, we've got another amazing guest from Warrior Nun. It's Meena Rayann. Meena, welcome to the show, my love.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Do you know what? It's my absolute pleasure because your character in season 2 is just absolutely adorable, and you're just amazing. So it's great to have you on the show for a chat. But first of all, I wanted to congratulate you on season 2 because literally this is the highest rated Netflix show in history, and this got released by Forbes. I'll put it on the screen just here. 100% Rotten Tomato score, 99% audience score. This is incredible, and this is unheard of for a Netflix show. So it just shows how much love there is currently for this show, and also there is rumour on social media that this may be your first interview for Warrior Nun. Is that correct?
Oh, it is. I mean, it is one of my first two interviews this weekend.
Is it
I've
really?
got another one, but tomorrow is also for. I'm shooting a film. I'm currently in the south of France shooting a film, so it's going to be a mix of the two. So yeah, it's everything happening at the same time.
Oh, bless you. But you're keeping yourself together, which is great, because now you're just going to be literally wanted by everyone on their shows, press, everything. So this is awesome. So before we dive into a bit about your career and a bit about this awesome show, the last 2 years have been quite challenging, not only for performers like yourself, as well as the world. So how have you kept positive and moving forwards through these difficult times with the pandemic and everything else going on in the world?
I mean, I have to say it's been the weirdest 2 years for sure. How have I kept positive? I haven't always kept positive, to be honest.
That's fair enough.
There were some moments where I was very, not necessarily down, but where it was quite hard. And yeah, seeing the state of the world and everything, it does affect you. And so, yeah, but at the same time, just trying to keep in touch with friends, family, you know what? I've really put myself into some more of my art. I make like earrings like those, not just earrings, but like jewelry. It was like just like my meditation kind of thing for years. It's been that. And like during the pandemic, I don't think I've ever made as much jewelry as I did before. So yeah, it's
and can I ask, is that jewelry for sale? Have you got an Etsy shop? Are you starting a new range for the fans to maybe purchase?
I could. I mean, I do have an Etsy shop, but I'm definitely not the most organized person when it comes to like admin and stuff like that.
You know what? You'll have to let us know once that Etsy shop or whatever you do is out there, because I am sure that plenty of fans will want to buy your handiwork because it's beautiful. It really is. Even I'm a man and I can appreciate, very good work. Me, I've got hands like shovels, so I could not do delicate work like that. But what's been the biggest lesson learned during this time over the last 2 years?
Don't ever take anything for granted, and accept the moments where it's not going great, but keep faith. I think it's also something that I've always had in me. As in, I'm a very optimistic kind of person, but sometimes it just gets, clouds come over and you can't really see anything really. But it's all about, keeping positive and accepting when it's not going well, and accepting that it's going to be temporary, and doing everything you can, but always being kind to yourself and to others, obviously, but to yourself. It's very important.
Of course, and the pandemic, I've got to say, definitely divided the good and the bad, because, I saw plenty of examples over the 2 years, but I've got to say, at the end of the day, as long as we learn from it and grow from it and make the world a better place from all the madness that has been around, that's all that counts. So why acting? Why choose one of the most competitive industries to enter? What sparked that direction in your life to decide to be a performer?
Well, because nobody gave me the memo. Nobody told me. No, fell in love with acting when I was a kid. I basically, when I was about 10, 11, when you get to middle school, I was extremely shy. So much so that I would, like when you're, I don't know, in like biology or history class, or whatever, and the teacher asks, like, okay, so and so is going to read the first paragraph, so and so is going to read the second paragraph, and this person the third. And whenever I had to read out loud, I would like start having a sort of panic attack, basically, where I would start laughing, like get like nervous laughter, and I just couldn't stop laughing, and I would not be able to breathe and all of that. And it kept happening and happening and happening. And people were making fun of me and all of that. And at one point, I think it was the school counselor or something like that. It was like, why don't you try theatre? And so I started theatre. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I really love this thing. I think I might, go on with it. And then I really fell in love with it and really wanted to do it. And from then on, I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And so after I got my high school degree, I went into engineering.
Right. Okay.
Logical.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, it was, so I went into engineering because obviously like my parents were like, acting, what is this? That's not a real job. Fair enough. I understand the fear and everything. I mean, they're not from that world at all. Nobody in my family is. But then I just, I decided to finish my engineering degree, but also in the meantime, like start going to drama classes and stuff like that, and auditioning for like short films. And I did theatre from like the moment when I was 10 until like, well, I never really stopped. And then I went to drama school after my engineering degree, and then just decided, yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. Not going to be an engineer. That's not me.
And the rest is history, and you've done Game of Thrones and so many awesome projects, as well as Warrior Nun. But it's quite weird because there's a lot of actors out there that actually are really shy. They're very reserved. I mean, I did performing arts at college and university because I actually suffered from a stutter. I had a really bad stammer. So literally, when I read a script or sang a song, I didn't stutter. So those moments where you was at school and you had to read something and you got embarrassed, that was the only time that I loved, because when I read something, I didn't stutter at all. And everyone around me used to get really freaked out because they couldn't understand why. Because I used to get bullied quite bad for my stutter. So that was like an escape for me to actually be on stage and actually have a script. It was awesome. But it's really nice that you've overcome that and now you're doing this awesome show. So we all see these actors, these glamorous parties, these red carpet events, being sent loads of goodies through the post from Dior and all these wonderful designers. How glamorous is it really? Spill the dirt. Is it as glamorous as we see on TV?
I don't own a single Dior thing or whatever. And I don't really go to the parties. But yeah, no, it's not very glamorous at all. I mean, it really is. I would say, I mean, for me, from my own experience, from what I see, it's mostly just the craft. It's mostly just that, and it's not glamorous at all. In between jobs, you're always wondering, like, am I going to work again, or was that it? That's the end of my career, and I'm never going to set foot on stage or or on a set ever again. It's a very unstable kind of life. I think even when you're like in the stratosphere of like A-listers and stuff like that, you never really know what tomorrow is going to be made of, when your next project is going to be made. And I think that's why a lot of people go into production and they create their own production companies and all that, when you've got the means and the recognition and all that. But even before that, but yeah, no, it's not that glamorous on a day-to-day basis. We're pretty normal people. I mean, from what I know and what I've seen. Okay. I don't know everyone, so I'm just going to talk about my own experience.
And when starting out, You know, we all have our dreams and aspirations. But when you started out and you decided to be an actor and to be a performer, did you have a plan in place of what you wanted to get to, you know, and work with and work on?
Yeah, obviously it didn't work out.
Not yet, you know.
Not yet, not yet. But yeah, when I started out, I think I was very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, let's say. I didn't really realize what this industry was about and how hard it was. But my aim really, I mean, I'm going to be very candid here, was like to change the world. I'm going to change people's perspectives on things. And, you know, I wanted to make films, the likes of like Ken Loach and Costa Gavras. I'm just going to put my French accent here, or, you know, like very political films or social films and everything. And it's going to be just that and changing the world and all of that. And I realized that's not, first, that's not necessarily you don't choose most of the time, but also like I discovered a lot more about acting. I mean, I'm talking when I like those kind of films, I had those ideas when I was like maybe 12, 13, 14. I was in my, you know, in the middle of my, I guess, consciousness awakening, or yeah, I guess. But yeah, I just discovered also like the entertaining side of acting and how amazing that is as well, and how you can change things through entertaining as well, and not just, I mean, not saying that Ken Loach is not great. I would love to work with him one day, but it's, yeah, there is a plethora of ways of changing the world. And I think with Warrior Nun, we are doing that as well. Because I was thinking about that, like, not just recently, but while we were shooting it, how growing up, I didn't really have like a show like Warrior Nun, like the diversity, the whole, like the cast of like really badass women, girls from like different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different sexualities, different, you know, it was just, I don't remember something like that happening. Maybe my memory is failing me, but I wish I had that growing up. And I think that's part of changing the world too. And and also like doing it while having like creating such big emotions and like big laughters as well, I think. Yeah, so I'm very proud of this show. I'm very proud of this show.
And that's the beauty of your job and what you do, because you offer that escapism, you know, for people watching, because you don't know what they're going through at that time, you know, what they're trying to escape, but you give those, you know, those fans and the viewers those moments just to lose themselves in just some great story writing and great performances on the screen. So it's such a wonderful job to have, and great, you know, position to be in, to offer that. So we all think that acting is easy. You know, you get on screen, you do your job and you get off. It's obviously not as easy as that. So what's been the biggest obstacle that you've had to face during your journey so far?
Oh, there were so many. And at the same time, like, I feel also like very blessed and very lucky that I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, I really am grateful that I am where I am. I think I don't know if there's been like a big obstacle. I think the biggest obstacle was my own ignorance of how things worked. And being very, not idealistic, but not realizing exactly how this world works, the world of acting, the world of show business. Once you understand it, first of all, I feel like it takes away a lot of anxiety and pressure somehow. Like when you're not chosen for a role, it's got nothing to do with your abilities. It's not, you know, it doesn't put your worth in question. It's not about you most of the time. It's really not. And that, when I realized that, gosh, that was like a huge weight off my shoulders. But yeah, I think, I don't know if I were to like, I don't know if there was like one obstacle. it's a journey, and it's just a journey of like learning how things work, but also learning how things work in the business, but also learning how things work in your craft, honing your skills all the time, learning new things all the time, um, learning yourself. It's really a journey of self-discovery and of discovery of how things work around you, and that makes the journey, I would say, a little bit easier. Not necessarily easy, but a little bit easier.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you know what? It's time to speak about Warrior Nun, because this show into the season 2, we had to wait roughly around 2 years for season
Yeah.
2. To be fair, it went like a flash, but I think that was because of everything else going off in the
Yeah.
world. So if you could tell us, the lovely viewers and listeners, who you play on the show and a bit about the show, if you could.
Okay. Without spoilers.
Well, if they haven't watched it yet, you know,
Yeah.
how dare they? And if
Yeah.
they have, they need to rewatch it, because if you watch it more than once, you discover so many different things, you know, that
Absolutely.
you didn't discover in the first time. So go ahead. Who do you play, and a bit about the show?
So I play Yasmine Amunet, a descendant of a Coptic order of nuns who have been protecting a secret weapon that can help Ava and the rest of the OCS defeat Adriel, the so-called angel Adriel. So yeah, if you've watched season 1, you will understand.
That is awesome. And do you know what? On the point of Adriel in the show, he's so scary, but in real life, he's so nice. He even read out a shopping list as Adriel for me, and I couldn't stop laughing. I'm going to clip it and release it, because it's the most hilarious thing I've ever heard in my whole life. It really is. So, did you watch season 1 before joining the cast, and what were your thoughts?
I did watch it, but not before I had the audition. Basically, I received the audition. My agent sent me the audition, the breakdown, and the sides and everything. And I always watch, if it's for an existing show, I always watch a couple of episodes to get the tone, to know where I'm going, and to understand the relationships and all of that. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to watch an episode or two, and then maybe watch a recap to understand what's going on, and then I'll do the audition. Started watching the first episode, and then was like, okay, I'm just going to watch another one and another one and another one. And I binged everything in 8 hours, 10 hours. I was like, okay, I really want to be on this show. So yeah, I binged everything literally. As soon as I got the breakdown, I was like, okay, yeah, I want this.
There
And
you
the
go, an
character
instant fan.
as well. Yeah, I was.
That
And
is,
I'm so happy to be here because I'm an even bigger fan of season 2.
yeah, of course. I mean, obviously by Rotten Tomatoes, definitely everyone is. Talking about the cast, they seem very close. So, what was it like to join such an established cast, into the second season?
It was scary because I knew that they all knew each other. There were a couple more additions. So Jack, who plays Miguel, and so he didn't know anybody either. But we were like, first we were quarantined for like I think 8 or 10 days at first, and we're all in the same hotel because COVID and all.
Yeah.
And we could see each other. Like Jack and I, we had like a little balcony thing, like little. I wouldn't say a terrace because it was much smaller than a terrace, but little balcony thing. And sometimes I would like go and have a coffee outside, and he would be in his little balcony thing as well, and like maybe 10 meters away, and I'd be like,
Oh,
"Hey."
hey neighbor.
I don't really know you just yet, but yeah, it was kind of scary because you're like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna fit in? Are they gonna be like cliquey? Are they not gonna really accept me, or is it gonna take a little bit of work to? But then I met people. I met first. I met Christina, who was in the hotel room just opposite mine, and then at one point I think we both opened the doors at the same time to like I think receive our meal or something for the day because it was that kind of quarantine.
Oh dear.
Like, hi. And then I think towards the end of the quarantine, I met Olivia, bumped into her going for the COVID test because we were getting tested every other day. And then she was super nice and she was like, hey, do you want to go for coffee? And like, we're going to, maybe Christina's going to come and Alba's going to come and everything. We're just going to chat. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. All right. And then I met everyone and everybody was so lovely and so welcoming. And, everybody's so nice. I mean, I've worked on a few sets and most people are very, very nice. But this felt really like a family. It was just so lovely. I really loved it. I really loved it. And yeah, it was almost like instant welcome. Yes, of course you're welcome here.
Instant family, as they say. And it looks like you had a lot of fun on set as well. There's a picture of you and Sylvia, Mother Superior. And this is great to see her like that because we don't see her like anything like that on screen, so it's lovely to see. And I've got another one as well, you on set with Alba and
Olivia
and Simon in the back, just there. I see him there in the back. So when you obviously went for this role, how was the role presented to you? In what form, and was it a self-tape or did you actually have to do it in person?
No, it was a self-tape because it was in the middle of COVID. So I can't remember if we were still like in one of the numerous lockdowns. But yeah, it was just a self-tape and I thought like, oh, maybe there's going to be a callback or anything, but I just got cast without a callback. And literally within 2 weeks between receiving the self-tape from my agent and being in Spain, there just less than 2 weeks elapsed. It was quite crazy.
Wow. Wow.
It was very fast. Yeah. But and she was, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, because I've seen a video on YouTube. I think you were doing some self-tapes there. You had a big ring light. And you see, yeah. I was doing my research, so you know what you're doing with the self tapes. But what I was going to ask was, do you prefer doing self tapes or do you prefer doing auditions in person?
Well, I used to not like self tapes because I liked being redirected live. You do something and when you're not really hitting what the casting director wants or the director or whatever, you can get redirected and then you can, provide a performance that is going to be closer to what they're looking for and everything. Whereas with a self-tape, you do have indications, but sometimes not that much. And so it's kind of a guessing game sometimes. So you just give it your all and that's it. But now I'm kind of liking self-tapes more somehow because I feel like I've given myself more freedom in my self-tapes, in my auditions and everything. And you also do have the freedom of like, oh, if you messed up a word or your intention or you were not good in that one take, you can do it again. I try to not do more than like 3 takes per scene, because otherwise, I remember my very first self-tape years ago. It was a very long audition. I had to do both an American accent and a British accent. And it was, I think, maybe 15 pages of side or something like that. And so it was long. But it took me almost like 10 hours to actually do it. And I was like, this cannot be. I cannot do this. Can you imagine like going to an audition in the room and staying for 10 hours with the casting director? So, yeah.
And they just give you the part anyway, just to shut you up after 10 hours. So, But I suppose with a self tape, you can re-record it, then you send it. But there's always going to be a thing in the back of your mind saying, you know what, I could have made that better, but it's too late. But I suppose in person, that's your one shot. But you're right, you can get redirected if the casting people see something in you. They can ask you to maybe do it with a different emotion or a different way. So with this show and many other shows, you get the script, and normally there is a table read. Was there a table read for this season, and what did you think of the script, and how did the table read go, if there was one?
Well, there was a tables read, each at their own table behind their Zoom screens. Yeah, we're all in our rooms, and even after we started the shoot, because obviously you get the scripts from the different blocks, so we shoot like a block of 2 episodes by block of 2 episodes. And every time there was a table read, it was always by Zoom, even after we had like all been on set together. But still, the COVID rules were the COVID rules. So yeah, it was kind of weird, like meeting everyone on Zoom. Usually, yes, there is a table read, and you do like, feed of each other's energy and all of that, and it's very different. But yeah, I mean, it still went great because, even though sometimes it was like there was always a moment where it was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, you're on mute. You're on mute."
Yeah, you're frozen. You've gone. Oh, we've lost him. No, can we get him back?
Be let back into the room. Can you? Yes, a lot of that happened.
Excellent. You know what? Don't you just love the pandemic and the rise of Zoom? Literally, the amount of meetings that just failed because schooling. Don't get me started. I turned into a school teacher on Zoom during the pandemic. It was awful. But so you play a Coptic nun. I'm making roles up now for you. You play a Coptic nun. What sort of preposition? Oh, I can't even speak now. Oh my days! There we go. Talking about Zoom, I've got traumatic stress from the moments of Zoom. The preparation of becoming a nun. Did you have to do research? I mean, how did that go?
Yeah, I always try to do research on every single one of my roles. So yeah, I did read a lot. I watched a lot of documentaries, not just about Coptic nuns, but just nuns. Like everything and anything, like literally like watching documentaries about the daily life of nuns and stuff like that. It was very interesting because it's a life that I do not know at all. But then again, knowing that, I also had to like remember that she's not just a Coptic nun, she's part of that order and also knows about the OCS and all of that. So there is like an element of, the spy element basically at the very, I mean, to me, that's almost like how I wanted to play her at the beginning. Because she's not just a nun. So you have to like take a lot of stuff into account and everything. But yeah, I did watch a lot of documentaries and read a lot about Coptic nuns, Coptic Christianity, because I knew of it, but I didn't know a lot. So yeah.
I can imagine as well that once you got your outfit on, there you go. It must have felt different as well, for your character. I mean, how different did you feel, putting that outfit on for the first time?
I mean, I loved how comfortable it was. I was like, yeah, it's great to like not care that much about your appearance or anything, But yeah, no, it was great because it really puts you in that mood. And in the character, yeah, it's always like once you put the shoes on, you get part of the character for sure.
I mean, one of my favourite scenes, I've got to say, is when you're in the room with all the bishops and Father Duretti. I've got to say, it's just one of the most incredibly it's just incredible from the way it was filmed to the stunt people. I mean, what was that like to film? And what was the most difficult thing about filming that scene?
I mean, it was amazing to film. I really loved it, and it was Dennis Rivera who was directing that block, and he just handled it. I mean, it was bloody amazing, and bloody is the word.
Mm.
And it was, I think, almost a week, that scene for us, and most of it I spent covered in blood, and that was not easy. Because the logistics of being covered in blood from like 7 in the morning till like, I don't know, 6 in the evening, 6 in the afternoon. Yeah, it doesn't make your life much, very
Mm.
practical, let's say, without getting into details or into too much detail. But yeah, it was quite intense, and I think also like the whole, being in that, because it took such a long time, because I mean
Mm.
it lost like the fights and everything. It is a very long scene. Um, it took a very long time to film, but it's also like you have to stay in that emotional state,
Mm.
very heightened emotional state, which was really like physically exhausting. At the end of the day, you're just like, okay, I'm just going to go back home, shower maybe 3 times, and then go to sleep straight away. It was really exhausting, but at the same time, it was so impressive to watch. And
Mm.
I mean, the stunts, the and the acting. I mean, I just love Joaquin and Richard, who plays William, and of course Sylvia. Absolutely fantastic. It was such an intense moment, and I think for me, that's the pivotal moment for Yasmine as well.
Mm.
Throughout her whole journey, that's the moment where she is actually thrown into the deep end. Because seeing Ava, of course, it's like a huge thing, and seeing her like being taken away by Vincent is very hard to watch for her and everything, because she is like, this is the reality. It's not just intellectual now.
Mm.
You have to actually do things.
Mm.
Um, but there, it's the first time that she sees people being massacred,
Mm.
slaughtered in front of her, and that's the life of a sister warrior. I mean, not necessarily the life of a sister warrior, but like it's part of the life of a sister warrior. And I mean, she's seen like people, like dead bodies and everything, but not the actual thing. And
Mm.
also, like for her, I mean, for me, the way I played Yasmin towards the Pope, Duretti, is like, he is, for her, she's like meeting, for me, like David Bowie, if I could
Mm.
meet David Bowie. So seeing this is like an extremely traumatic moment, and it's a very pivotal moment. So yeah, that was very, very intense, both emotionally and physically, but at the same time, so impressive to watch. I love just watching everybody work. It's just like, it makes me.
And I've got to say, one of the scenes as well that the fans have been eagerly been waiting for is that moment between Ava and
Yeah,
Beatrice. And, the show got criticised, I think, in the first season about baiting
yeah,
around this. But one thing I've got to say, this show does everything in such a beautiful way, where it's completely natural. You don't
yeah,
feel like it's not part of the story, that it's just been put in there. And
yeah.
I just think it's beautiful how it's done. It's a beautiful story, and you're there filming with them. What was it like being there and filming that scene with them? And did you realise at that moment how much of an impact that scene would have for the fans?
I didn't realize how much it would, like, how much impact, because to me it was clear
Mm.
that they love each other, they're in love with each other, they just don't know how to deal with it,
Mm.
how to do it. Because I mean, for Ava, it's a first love.
Mm.
Because I mean, sorry, JC, but I don't think it's like, I don't think it's comparable at all. Um, and for Beatrice, I don't know if it's a first love, but it's the first time that she's allowing herself, I think, to to feel those things and to really accept those feelings. Um, And I mean, you know what you said, like it's beautifully done. It's not.
Mm.
I don't think it was queer baiting even in the first season. I think if they had just like kissed at the end of the first season, it would have been just too quick, too
Mm.
easy. It just makes it so much more significant that it took that long and that their feelings grew for each other and that it's something genuine. It's not just like, oh, I'm very attracted to that girl, or like not saying that like love at first sight doesn't exist or whatever. Maybe it does. I don't know. Not getting to that debate.
Yeah.
But it's just like watching their feelings grow for each other
Mm.
and watching that awkwardness that we have all felt at one
Yeah.
point or another in our lives. It's so much more satisfying when it actually happens. And at the same time, so bittersweet and so sad
Mm.
because it's the moment like it's now or never.
Mm.
And to be honest, like watching it, and I know that like when we were filming it, I knew that I was there and they were like probably going to film my reaction at one point or something. And I was like, okay, I hope they don't film my reaction right now because I'm crying. Because like when they were filming them and like doing that beautiful dance, you know, when she tries to stop her from going, and it was just so touching and so beautiful and so deserved, you know, and so it's not it's not a planted moment. It's a very genuine moment, I think. So yeah, I think it makes it all the more beautiful.
Definitely. And moving on to one of the most important questions. How bad of a driver are you in real life compared to your character on screen? Because it's hilarious. It really, really is. At least you got there in one piece, but how bad of a
Yes.
driver are you in real life?
I'm actually an okay driver. I'm not going to say I'm good because I'm just like way too afraid of like people putting me to the test somehow. I've never had any problem driving.
That is good. That is good.
Yeah, I just, yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like a lot has been asked of Yasmine. Like she's never had to like do a car chase, like, you know, before. And,
I think
yeah,
by the end of it, I think you're doing all right. So
yeah.
kudos to you, I've got to say. So what's been your fondest memory of working on season 2 so far?
Oh gosh, it's so hard. This question is so hard because there's not just one. It's been like a collection of amazing memories because I mean, I can think of dozens of amazing moments, of hilarious moments, of very touching moments, of so many moments with everyone. It's impossible to just choose one, really. I would say the whole shoot is my fondest memory. It's just been, you know, once I started really getting to know people, really feeling like, oh, those people are my friends and not just my friends for now, but I'm pretty sure they're my friends for life. Like some of them are like have become some of my closest friends. Um, then you just like it creates an atmosphere where you just feel at ease to try and explore and have fun and you feel free and gosh, I hope for the rest of my life every single one of my projects is going to be like that.
Oh,
I know it's
bless
probably
you.
not going to be the case, but
So it's a true sisterhood off screen as well. And I just wanted to touch on that because, I asked Simon Barry last season, what was it like trying to rein in everyone? Because you've got all these young girls out in sunny climate. What was it like between shoots? And obviously, I know it's pandemic. What sort of things did you get up to unwind with your girlies?
I'm not going to reveal all the secrets.
Oh dear. Okay.
No, it's not bad. No, okay, I shouldn't have
Wine
said
and
that like
biscuits, wine and cheese, on the veranda, waving at Jack.
we
Um,
were in Madrid during the summer and then like the autumn it got really cold at one point. But I mean, you know, terraces everywhere. We were not allowed to like go indoors for a while because of COVID and
mm,
everything. I mean, not because of the Spanish restrictions. I think more like the production. But we had, you know, open, you know, outdoors terraces everywhere. I mean, exploring the city, going and have a drink here, have a drink there, like music outside, and it was amazing. And like, yeah, it was really fun, and there was such a like cohesive, not cohesive, but like a very strong bond
Mm.
between not the girls, not just the sisters, but like everyone, with the crew, with the stunt. I mean, it was great. It was great, and the
Uh,
stunt team are like not only amazing but like hilarious. Those guys are clowns.
And then
Oh,
obviously the fans have been rallying around this show
man.
because it took a while to get confirmation that we were going to get season 2.
Yeah.
So what can the fans do to try and get a season 3? Because I'm not being funny, if Forbes is putting out that Rotten Tomatoes thing, it's a no-brainer. But in the age that we're in at the moment, with things getting cancelled, surely this can't be. Surely I'm going to put a bet on that we are going to get a season 3. But is there anything that the fans can do to?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm in the exact same position as all the fans, and I'm a fan myself. I really am. I mean, not just because I'm in it. I really love season two. I mean, I love season one, but season two is like to me absolutely amazing. And
And if you had a season 3, would you be happy to come back?
yes, unequivocally.
That is a silly question. I've got to I've got to say after everything you've said. Have you managed to liberate anything from the show? Any clothing, props?
No, I did not
What?
think of that at all.
Well,
No,
maybe
I
that's a good sign. Maybe that's a
yeah,
good sign that they want to keep it because they're going to
exactly.
reuse it.
We
So,
need it for season three. That's
uh,
exactly.
uh,
Let's think
yeah,
that way.
yeah, we'll stick with that. And obviously, if when we get season 3, I'm speaking a bit more confidently now. Where would you like your character to go? Within season 3, because we leave with you. Donning. You're part of the OCS, which is awesome. So
Yes.
where would you like your character to go and the adventures to go on?
Oh gosh, I think there are many, many ways Yasmin could go. I I would love to see her really develop fully into realizing that okay, let's start this again. Basically, I think that she's lived her whole life with this mission of protecting the crown, finding the crown, and helping whenever Adriel, if ever Adriel, uh, comes back. And it's almost like she's put the rest of her life and herself in the back burner, you know? And I would love for her to develop more things than just more sides of her than just her, very smart intellectual side. And also like realizing that she can be liked, not just because she's useful, not just because of her mission, but because she really belongs and she finally has found a group of people, a group of friends, actual, real friends. Um, and really develop. I think she's got like a lot more in store. And I think once she realizes that she can also, you know, count on not just her smarts, but like other things, and her friendship, not just be no, I don't think she's a loner. I think she would love to be part of a group, but she has had to be a loner because she had to protect her mission. And
Mm.
now she finally belongs. So I think it's something to explore in that way, in that vein. And also more fights, please.
Do you know what I can just imagine Yasmin as a kick-ass nun that literally goes from that scene with the bishops to being. I just cannot wait. But Meena, you've been a great guest. It's been an absolute honour to have you on. I can't wait for season 3. Keep safe, stay super, and thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.